You know, it's always good when you come back to a device that you need to use for something at that point in time, and it's already pre-charged. That's really helpful. So, having my laptop ready to go when I sat down to record, always handy. Anyway, hello and welcome back to The Lion's Den. I'm your host, Matt, as always. I'd like to talk about my recent obsession because that's basically all this podcast has been for a good while, is just talking about my current obsession. Today we're talking about Need for Speed Most Wanted, and not the one that everyone raves about. No, I'm talking about the 2012 version because that's the one I personally love. I have very weird game kind of opinions that don't track very well with other people. Like, for example, with Smash Bros. Ultimate, the skin that they use for Zelda is based on her Link to the Past and A Link Between Worlds version. I don't like A Link Between Worlds at all. Everyone's like, oh my god, it's amazing. It harkens back to the 2D days and oh god, it's so good. I'm sat there like, it has really easy dungeon layouts. The bosses are gimmicky and annoying to fight. The story is kind of meh. And the item system. Anyway, I've told this to everybody about that. I could talk about how much I hate that game. But we're talking about Need for Speed Most Wanted currently. It's quite funny because I stumbled back into the game through a very weird set of circumstances, right? So I was at work listening to music as I'm doing my job and my tasks. And Spotify recently released this enhance feature where in your liked songs, you can press the enhance button and it will use AI whatever magic to try and determine new songs that it can slip into your liked playlist and say, here's something new that you might want to listen to. And honestly, it's quite a good feature. It works quite well. There are a lot of duds, but there are a few songs that I've just been saying, yes, that's really good. Ooh, that's an interesting one. Ooh, there's an artist I've never heard of before, but the music's really nice. So I've just been doing that slowly. And one of the songs that slipped in is called The City by Madian. Now, the minute I heard the intro to the song, I went, no way. Because it's one of the key tracks that is played in Need for Speed Most Wanted. And I've played that game so much. I played it so much on my dad's PS3. I absolutely loved it to death. I loved the way that the music and the game just fits together so nicely. A lot of the tracks are very high energy, a lot of like heavy electronic music or heavy kind of sort of rocky guitar music. It's really good. It works really nicely, and the way it kind of meshes with the races and the action that's going on screen, it feels very, very good, very enjoyable. But I remember loving that song and basically flicking through the tracks in the game to get to that song because it was just so good. Didn't actually realize that, hey, here it is. It's an actual song I could listen to all the time. I do now because it's on my Spotify. But having listened to that and having this burst of nostalgia just really made me want to play it again. As I've explained recently or previously, I have a gaming computer. I can play games at like fun, good graphical qualities with good frame rates, no problem. And Need for Speed Most Wanted, plus all of its DLC, is indeed on Steam. So I put it in my wish list. I've been waiting for ages, and it eventually then came on sale for £4.50. So hello, Need for Speed Most Wanted, we're off again. So I'm very happy. I've been enjoying it very thoroughly. It actually kicked me into buying an Xbox controller for the first time because I've never had an Xbox in my entire life. I'm one of those people. We only ever had Nintendo consoles or PlayStations. I mean, the latest PlayStation we've got is the PS3 because I'm really the only person in my house that plays video games constantly. So most of our consoles are Nintendo ones because of me. So never had an Xbox controller, but I decided I want to buy one because I want analog triggers for my computer. And I tried using the PlayStation 3 controllers, which Steam does recognize, but then Need for Speed just kind of doesn't. So £25 later, a quick trip to our local Argos, and I have an Xbox controller that's really nice. And I love the feature where it has a headphone jack built into the controller. That's genius. It means I don't have to have a really weird extension cable to the base unit of my computer. I can just plug it into the controller. Fantastic. And also just playing Need for Speed Most Wanted with a proper controller with analog triggers is just wonderful. Really good fun, really enjoyable, and it just makes playing the game that little bit more connected, I suppose. You feel more in control and you can play it better, and it's just natural, I think, is the good thing. So the PS3 version was what I've put a lot of time into, and I kind of want to go and revisit it just to see what the comparison is like. The main thing I know is I'm pretty sure the PS3 version runs at 30 FPS, whereas now I can run it at whatever frame rate I want, but that's currently 60 because my monitor is 60 hertz. But it's so nice. It's so gorgeously smooth. There's no hiccups or stutters or anything. The load times are practically instantaneous because I've got an SSD on my computer, so it's like, off we go, the fun never stops. All of the graphics settings are cranked except for, like, I think maybe reflection details is medium or something, so it's yeah, but like it still looks fantastic. Also, I'm so glad that you can turn motion blur off. That was the first thing I did. Once you go through the little driving tutorial section, turn the motion blur off. Oh my, it's disgusting, absolutely disgusting, but it's just so so good. And when I have some full time off, because I've got Forza Horizon 4 as well, and now I've got an Xbox controller, that's going to be good. I'm going to set my computer up with my TV and see if I can run everything at 4K 60, and just, oh, that's going to be so good. So good. I think the main thing that I really enjoy about the game is, unlike previous Need for Speed games before this point, it's simple. Like, one of my other Need for Speed games that I absolutely love is Underground 2, which I think a lot of people would agree that's a phenomenal game. The reason that a lot of people enjoy that game, myself included, was just the sheer customization of your car. You can take a Ford Focus and turn it into this riced monster that's just absolutely nuts. It's got like decals on it, neon underglow, the HUD pops up, you're spraying nitrous everywhere. It's really cool. It's really nice. The level of customization is phenomenal, and it looks fantastic for a PlayStation 2 game, and I think that's why people liked it. I think I revisited it like maybe half a year ago, and I could not get on with the actual control of the game. It's very weighty, very heavy, which I suppose real cars are like that, but for me as an adult, that's not fun in terms of playing a game. I imagine I could get used to it if I actually tried, but I didn't want to try. But for Need for Speed Most Wanted, the 2012 version, the cars drive like an arcade racer. So it's not accurate, but it's not completely like Mario Kart levels, if you will. The cars do have weight. The upgrades you do affect how they drive, but personally I love the way they drive. Absolutely love it. I kind of just slipped straight back into knowing how to control the cars, and it's just fantastic. The thing that a lot of people might not like is that the customization system is really boiled down. There is no changing the body kits, there's no slapping spoilers on or decals. You can change the color, although it's predetermined and it's random, but you can cycle between like 5 different colors for each car. But the customizations in terms of performance are boiled down to a menu that you press buttons and it will swap out parts for you on the fly, which is really nice that you can do it on the fly, because you can then adapt for each race that you go into. So like if a race is completely off-road, just quickly flick some off-road tires on. If a race is bombing down the highway, slap some long gears in so you've got a higher top speed, that kind of stuff. I like that personally. It means there's more emphasis on racing and perfecting your skill as a driver rather than spending forever in a body shop making sure that the green of your car is just the right green. You know what I mean. I think to a lot of people it kind of says, well, this is just a generic arcade racer, it's not quite Need for Speed, but I think for that game specifically, it's wonderful. The game is designed to be fast-paced, fun, and just about the racing rather than about everything else in the series. So if you want all the customization, go play a different Need for Speed game. If you want to just sit down and bomb around a city at 200 miles an hour, this one's fantastic, especially as well with the music, like I said. I do have some subtle things about the game that I absolutely find annoying as hell, but they're passable, I think. The one thing that really bugs me is that the car seems to have sort of, I don't want to say procedurally generated, I don't know if that's quite right, but it seems semi-random as to where it generates traffic. So there is real traffic in the game that you have to kind of bob and weave in out, and also they've also got the whole cop mechanics with cop cars driving around that will chase you and try and just shut you down and whatnot. The really annoying thing about the randomly generated car placements is they are randomly generated, but always in the worst place. Always in the worst place. So for context, the other day, I was doing this one race, and the idea is that it is a sprint, so point A to point B, and the idea is that you have to average a certain speed over the length of the course. Now, if you can do it without crashing, it's fairly doable. You just got to maintain speed, make sure you know where to kind of go fast and slow down. The really annoying thing is that there are constant big sweeping turns that you just want to slide around horizontally, which is really, really fun. But then there'll be blind corners, right? And what the game tends to do is just slap a car right there, right at the end of the corner, as you're sliding around, and you've got no way of seeing it, no way of steering out of the way, and you just smack straight into it, and that's your whole run done. You have to replay the event. It's really annoying, and it happens more than it should, but it doesn't happen enough that it ruins the game, in my opinion. So that's my biggest bugbear, is that there are always cars in the worst possible places. But if you can kind of get around that really annoying thing, the rest of the game is so good that I think it makes up for the fact that it has that really annoying problem. I suppose my other small gripe is that whenever you're in a race with multiple other people, like computer cars, and then there's a chase slapped on top, the police seem always really aggressive against you rather than the other people, which is slightly annoying. But again, you get to a point where your cars are so fast it doesn't matter. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that game. I think as well, it's so good that when I played the PlayStation 3 version, I wanted to buy the DLC. It was that good that I wanted to put more money into a video game. And this was back when I was like 14 or something. So I would have had to have asked someone like, can you give me money on a virtual place to buy DLC? Would have been a mess. The problem is I was an idiot. So I set up a random weird PlayStation Network account on my profile on the my dad's PlayStation 3, not realizing that the problem is if you lose access to that PSN account, you are screwed. You can't transfer saves on the PlayStation 3 as far as I can tell without doing weird hacky stuff, and you cannot log out of a PSN account if you cannot first log into it. So the problem is every time I wanted to buy the DLC on the PlayStation 3, it would ask me to sign into PSN, but I couldn't sign into PSN because I'd made some really weird account with an email address I don't even have, and I'm just sat there questioning everything about my past self, and I was really bummed about that. But now that I have it on PC, I can also now buy the DLC should I choose to, because I have actually have access to everything on my computer. So wonderful, and it's easy. So yeah, highly recommend. It's really fun, personally. But anyway, thanks for listening. I'm gonna plug, it's YouTube. Subscribe, like, tell people, please tell people. Either way, I hope you all enjoyed listening, and I'll see you all next week. Bye.